Welcome to a guided meditation for the ego on Declutter the Mind. This practice is to help us notice and then manage our ego. The ego is our false self. It's the person we become so other people will like us, admire us, or accept us. Ego is also who we tell ourselves we are, or who other people have told us we are. Ego is the part of us that is overly concerned with survival, accumulation, and success. And our ego shows up in many ways in life. It shows up when we complain, through materialism, through competition, through vanity, and when we become defensive or attached to ideas. So in this practice, we will notice and manage the ego through mindfulness and acceptance. And so to start, find your seat. You can sit on a chair or a cushion on the floor and sit with your back upright and comfortable. And then with your eyes open, start by taking in a few big, deep breaths, breathing in through the nose and then out through the mouth. And now on the next out breath, gently close your eyes. Let's just start here by noticing the emotions that we are bringing into the practice today. Noticing any perceptions or expectations, any lingering emotions or mood that we are sitting with. And notice any immediate attempt to change, resist, or even justify the mood or feeling. Simply sit with it for the next few moments without following it with more thought or trying to change it. And now take a moment to allow the body to settle, allowing the body here to breathe on its own. And now we're going to maintain an open awareness over the breath. So we will be placing our attention on the breath and allowing ourselves to open our awareness to whatever arises, such as thoughts, sensations, feelings, and sounds. And whenever something enters our mind as we watch the breath, we practice meeting whatever that comes without placing more or less weight on any one thing, without following it with more thinking or placing any judgments on it. And so, again, noticing whatever comes and goes without judgments, without any perceptions, with acceptance. And we can notice when the ego creeps in and tries to add a judgment or tries to add or subtract from the practice. When it becomes frustrated or competitive or creates excuses. And so now bring your attention down to the breath, noticing the sensations of the breath here, the in breath to the out breath. Notice any attempt to change the breath here, any resistance to this attempt. Let's just simply accept the breath here. There's no need to change anything. Notice the pace of the breath, if it's shallow or deep today. And begin to notice the rising and falling sensations of each in breath and out breath. Maybe you notice these sensations more around your chest or stomach. And just be with whatever you notice with an open awareness for the next few moments. And when a thought or feeling enters your awareness, when it arises from seemingly out of nowhere, we don't need to follow it with more thinking or resistance. We simply allow it to come and go through the mind. Allow the thought or feeling to dissolve all on its own when you notice it, and then bring your attention back to the breath. And when a distraction enters your mind as you watch the breath, you can use labeling to detach yourself from the distraction and allow yourself to practice acceptance. So if you start thinking about the day ahead of you, label that as thinking and then return to the breath. If a noise distracts you, you can label that as sounds and then return to the breath. If anxiety or stress begin to creep in, label that as feeling and then return to the breath. And ensure that you are not using labeling as a fly swatter. We're not seeking things to label. It's not an active exercise. Instead, we are watching the breath with an open awareness. And then, whenever a thought or feeling arises and attempts to pull our attention, we use labeling to disarm it and not get caught up in it, to accept it for what it is, and then return our attention back to the breath. whenever you realize that you've become caught up in thoughts, simply come back to the breath with an open awareness. There's no need to become frustrated here. Part of managing our ego is being okay with whatever is happening in the present moment, not allowing our ego to become wrapped up in the present, and instead being with whatever is happening. And the final few moments here, allow the mind to do what it wants. Let go of any attempt to maintain control of attention. And now bring your attention back into the breath. And before we end the practice here, just take in a full deep breath and then a long breath out. And now open your eyes. Thanks for sitting, and I'll see you next time. Thanks again for taking the time to practice. If you've enjoyed this practice, please be sure to like and subscribe. You can also join and become a member and receive access to courses and more. Head on over to declutterthemind.com for more and download our free iOS and Android app.